slapping down some pig shit with these fat fucks, and I'm the fattest of them all. If I died tomorrow, no one would shed a tear. Load my freaking lard carcass into the mud. No coffin, please. Just wet, wet mud. Faye.
Hello and welcome to Podtoid. We are your host. I'm CJ.
I'm Chris.
I'm Dan.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Occams.
Whoa, you sound very far away, Occams.
Am I Occams now?
Yes, you're Occams now.
Good.
Welcome to the show, everyone. It is episode 400. We have a great show for you today. We're going to get into some fun games talk. We're going to
400.
Yes, 400.
Round number. 400 episodes that we've done of this show.
God damn, it seems like just yesterday we were on episode 300.
Right.
Yeah. And then a little bit later, we're going to get into some listener questions, so that should be fun. But first, I just want to know how you guys are all doing this week. Anything happen exciting to any of you?
I just went to have my eyes checked, and I'm going to have to wear glasses from now on. That's the height of excitement for me.
Nerd.
You know, it's funny. I needed glasses about 4 years ago, but this is the first time I've been able to afford glasses. So I decided to go back because my eyes have gotten considerably worse in those 4 years because I haven't been wearing glasses.
Right.
But now I've ordered some. I hate the way they look, and they'll be here by the weekend.
Well, as long as you hate the way they look.
Well, it's not because it's not wearing the glasses that's the problem. It's not that. It's not like a stigma or anything like that. I don't like looking at myself anyway, and I'm trying on these glasses, and I just think your nose looks bigger, your head looks rounder. I think I've picked the perfect pair to amplify all the negative features of my face.
Oh no.
Well, contact lens is not a option because I personally can't wear contacts. Like touching my eyes just creeps me out. So I put up with stupid glasses as well.
It's something I'm going to maybe look into, but I'll wait for them to arrive first. And then, 4 days later, when I've inevitably sat on them, I'll look into contact lenses.
So my dad said around his late 20s is when his vision started to go bad and he had to get glasses. And my brother, 27, said, that's when I had to start wearing glasses. I turned 27 this year.
Well, you're older than I thought you were. I thought you were 22.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm 27 already, so maybe I'm you're still the youngest, I think.
Oh, there you go. I just still do the millennial jokes.
Yeah. Well, we're all millennials, except maybe Chris. I don't know. I think he might be too old to be a millennial.
Oh, shit.
I think I missed being a millennial by 1 year, literally.
Fucking Gen Xers. When I realized I had to get glasses, it was the scariest moment for me because I was literally driving down the street and I blink and then suddenly my vision is just way fucking off. Everything is suddenly blurry. It's just like that I'm like, oh crap, I have to get glasses. So I don't know if my vision was like deteriorating up until that point, or that was just and that was just the first time I noticed it, or just something in there just caused my vision to just take a nosedive. But yeah, that was pretty terrifying driving your car and realizing your vision no longer works properly.
I think everyone has a certain amount of blinks, and when you reach that quota, you do that last blink, and then your eyes just stop working.
I won't stop thinking about that now.
Also, Blink Quota is my new Blink 182 hardcore band name.
Yeah. Okay, so you're getting glasses. I've had glasses for 10 years, not that bad. My nose does look bigger with them though, but at least I'm not like Adam McKay. I don't know if you've seen pictures of him, but he has giant head, little glasses. Not a good combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I attended a graduation because I had to.
Well, who was it for?
My school. So at my job, I am considered faculty.
That's right.
And all the faculty is strongly encouraged, which is a real fun word, kind of phrase in academia, to attend. And I didn't mind it in the sense of seeing, because there's some kids I've watched grow up, and it's nice to cheer them on. But I did require putting on the old monkey suit of the robe and the hat, and just sitting in a thing for 2 hours while 500 and some odd names are read. So that's always fun. Although it's funny walking back because everyone's like, congratulations. And I'm like, I've I got my master's like 10 years ago. So just piss off. No, but it's a...
Does everyone throw their caps in the air at the end?
It was really funny. This one kid who's kind of like, I know him and he's nice. He's a little fratty, but he's a nice guy. I watched him and he was like looking around and he had his cap in his hand and he had that like the wind up ready, when he's like kind of halfway going, just looking at it and no one else was doing it. And there was just this really disappointed look on his face. And I felt, I truly did. But, sorry. The thing they do now though, is they decorate their caps. Yeah, which is pretty fun. And this was new to me. I didn't attend any of my graduations except high school, so I didn't really experience a lot of this stuff. And I really love seeing how they decorate them. And one girl probably had, I'd say conservatively, 5 pounds of flowers on her cap. She was like, it was like, you have the beginning of a Poison Ivy cosplay. You really do.
She's gonna go put that on a casket after the graduation, so it could double as some funeral flowers.
Yeah, really honor her dead grandpa or something. Yeah, but it's a pain in the ass getting up early on a Saturday. But it's always nice to see the kids graduate.
Yeah. Well, both of those sound like interesting ways to spend your week. But I want to tell you about someone who actually had a really good week, and his name is Matthew Berg. In 2017, Berg was arrested, tried, and convicted of careless use of a handgun. He was sentenced to a year in prison, but this week, on appeal, a judge changed his sentence so he could serve in the community, basically to serve on parole. Now, you might be wondering why I'm bringing this story up, so let me take you back to the night in question. Berg was with his girlfriend at the time, and they were partying it up. According to police reports, the two of them spent the night getting hammered before engaging in sex. Berg himself confessed to being on acid, cocaine, and alcohol at the time. The pair decided to take the party to the next level, and that is where things went wrong. According to a police statement made by Berg, in what can only be considered a sex move from an NRA porno, he took out his handgun and decided to use it in sexual foreplay. He took the barrel of the gun, ran it up and down his girlfriend's right side, across her back, and up and down her butt when, of course, the gun fired, because when you're on that many drugs all at once, you don't check to see if your gun is loaded before using it for sex, like a responsible gun fetishist would. The girlfriend did survive the shot. Berg initially lied to police and said he thought his girlfriend shot herself, but considering the bullet entered through her abdomen and exited through her ass, that didn't seem likely. In the appeal, the judge said it was unfair to send Berg to prison because he was a contributing member of society, an ironworker supervisor, and an involved parent of a child. And I have to say, if I ever get in trouble, I want this man's lawyer, because if they can convince an appeals court that an acid-dropping, binge-drinking, cocaine-snorting gun sexer is a contributing member of society, they can convince a judge of anything.
I don't know what to say. Like usually those stories are like really chuckalicious, but that one's just like, what the fuck, man?
You know how I know God's real? Is that the gun went off right at her butthole. That's how you know God's real. And he has a great sense of humor. And he loves us in equal amounts that he hates us. So
the most shocking part of this story is that it did not happen in America.
Whoa.
Oh, that is shocking.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty crazy.
This has happened in Canada. So Dan,
okay.
Wow. Canadians. Good job.
Feel free to drop some acid, snort some cocaine, get hella drunk, and shoot your girlfriend. Because apparently you'll only get 12 months of probation.
In the butthole, though.
In the butthole.
Or you can do what I did this weekend, which is I saw some alpacas.
Nice.
It was kind of amazing. And I found out 2 amazing things about alpacas.
Yeah.
1, they scratch themselves with their back legs and it is hilarious. And 2, they roll around in the mud like pigs. I didn't know alpacas did that. The more you know.
Is there any reason why they do that?
I don't know. Like, they were in like a pen next to some donkeys and then some pigs. So maybe they've seen the pigs over the fence rolling around in the mud and think it's fun. But it was like this white alpaca just threw itself on the floor and started rolling around. It was really strange.
I'm desperately trying to come up with a funny line to link the 2 stories, but this is above my pay grade.
If
I
given
just
the option
desperately, I
between-
realized that I went to see some alpacas and I'd forgotten to tell you guys, and I had to squeeze it in somehow because it was kind of incredible.
So when you initially said that, I kind of didn't understand what you said, and I thought you said I went to see some small packers, and I was just trying to figure out what the hell is a small packer.
Oh,
It sounds some like turn of the century industrial revolution racist shit. got a couple of small packers over there. Ooh. Take over the neighborhood now.
Oh.
I don't know. I saw one of the alpacas like staring at the donkeys, and it might have had some racist intent behind it. I don't know.
Look at that donkey with its short hair. Pff.
if I'm ever dropping acid and having sex with a gun, I'll just remember the alpacas.
Let's just say that woman is very lucky the gun went off when it did, because when you're on acid, snorting cocaine, completely drunk, there is no way he wasn't going to like insert that. Like that was obviously the end, would have been the end result of that foreplay session had it not gone off when it did.
Do we know the kind of gun?
Just a handgun.
That's like the step that takes this from a funny story to just like gross
Depressing.
and sad. Yeah, like you started off well, and it turned into alpacas, which kind of made it funnier, and now you've just made it like explicit and horrible.
I mean, that sums up Podtoid, so.
Yeah.
It is super stupid because, like, not only did he not unload the gun, he also didn't put the safety on, which is just like 2 levels of stupidity. And like, I just can't comprehend why would anybody would use a gun during sex and not do their safety checks. I don't get it.
I think once you've introduced the gun to sex, you're beyond the point of thinking about safety.
True.
You see, I disagree. I think there's probably a group of a fetish out there, people who really like fucking guns, and I bet they're really careful with it, and they're immaculately clean, and they probably use some kind of protection over the barrel and all this stuff. My mind wanders though is if the gun had been inserted and gone off, then would it have sounded like an inside fart?
Dan, how's Red Dead going?
It has guns, but I can't say I've had sex with them. So
Oh.
Arthur
think it's about
Morgan, I'd like to imagine, is a step above that.
We're going to talk about Saints Row later, right? Like, I'm sure in one of the Saints Row games, somebody's asshole was probably used as a silencer on a gun.
Probably. Or the Postal 2 game where you used a
I
cat
was
as a
just gonna
silencer.
say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to the Saints Row later. I think we should move on from this topic because it's getting bad. So let's go ahead and get into games. And Chris, we're going to start with you. You've been continuing on that Mortal Kombat 11 grind, right?
Yeah, it's gotten easier because they patched it now and they've switched things up, and they gave everyone a load of itchy and scratchy money to Simpsons reference 1 to help push through the crypt and unlock stuff. It's a great fighting game. As I play it more, I really get into it. I'm still not quite feeling the roster, but I'm doing my best with what I've got. People have been coming up with really interesting ways to beat the grind over the last week. I never mentioned this, but you can actually fight with AI switched on. So people have been like getting like a top tier character, Noob Saibot, and switching on the AI, and then just leaving him to fight through like an endless tower of enemies on his own, and just grinding themselves out currency that way. And you have to press X at the end of every fight to move on. So people have been like constructing little devices that like press the button automatically so they don't have to be there. Like Homer Simpson's drinking bird, Simpsons reference 2. But it's interesting because now that they've changed this grind, you get more rewards and some of the things cost less, and the AI's gone down. The game's now this really bizarre thing where it's like a really good fighting game, as it always has been, and also this like mix of mobile game and like Diablo style loot grind, but you don't even have to play it because you can just set the AI to do it and leave it on its own, so it's kind of a mess in that sense, because it's a grind you don't have to do to unlock things that are still kind of RNG. And there's also this fighting game attached to it. And there's also a shop. And it almost feels like because of the changes they've made, they've kind of broken, as I said, they had to overhaul it from a base level. And by changing it for the better, it is changed for the better, they've kind of broken what the game is. So as a fighting game, like, it's still great. You can still just like have really good matches in it. And, but in terms of the crypt and the grind and everything we complained about on launch, that's not as big a problem. It's now just kind of this thing that happens in the background that no one's actually playing. Everyone's just like setting up to run and then like going out to the shops or whatever, which is it's so bizarre. I think back to the drawing board with this one, but lessons learned for the next game,
Yeah.
That is like some straight up mobile game design.
Yeah,
that
it is.
Some straight up Tapper, crazy taxi on iOS design tier stuff right there.
We're 2 weeks removed from it now, and it's been a rocky launch, and there's been some kind of bad press around the game for numerous different reasons. And there's some things about the game that even like the hardcore community aren't fans of. But going forward, it's a great fighting game. That's fighting game. And I'm still looking forward to like playing it. Yeah. And learning a little more about it and seeing where it goes. One thing about it that's really odd that makes me laugh is when the characters meet at the beginning of fights, they have these little conversations, which is like a thing that and some of them are so fucking weird. And it feels like they recorded loads of lines independently of each other and then tried to make conversations out of these independent lines. Like, some of them make total sense. Like, a character will be like, hey, Johnny, time for another fight. And Johnny will be like, bring it on, or whatever. But then other times, it's like Cassie Cage will be like, I'm the best. And Noob Saibot will be like, where's my microwave? Or something. And it kind of feels like some of them were scripted, and other ones, they looked at the lines and they were just like, that kind of sounds like a reply to that. Put them together.
Oh, boy. That, I'm sure that makes for some really hilarious beginnings of fights.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's a cool game overall, and it made me go and watch the. Well, it didn't make me. Didn't put a gun to my head or up my ass, but it made me go and watch the Mortal Kombat movie again. Which that film's underrated. That's a pretty good movie.
First one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very fun. It is very, very fun. I saw that in the theater with my brother opening weekend. And I have very fond memories of that experience.
Dan, we're going to go to you next. You have been sailing the Sea of Thieves, right?
Yes, I've hit to the high seas in the Sea of Thieves for an upcoming episode of Impulse. And I'm kind of floored how much fun I'm having with that game. Even just that very base concept, that original initial idea of just like sailing the seas and finding treasure and fighting off skeletons and whatnot. Like, it's a lot of people complained it was pretty bare bones at launch, but it's a very pretty game, and it's just, there's not a whole lot of pirate games out there, so there's not really a whole lot to choose from, and just having that concept work as good as it does in this really pays off, I think. But we dubbed our ship the Land Crab, because we figured, there's only two of us. We're not going to be able to put up much of a fight, so we're going to just crawl around and dig shit up and loot from the fallen people all around us. That's what we did for hours on end. And I made a checklist of footage I wanted to capture for the upcoming episode. Everything from killing a megalodon, which took pretty much all of our cannons and a whole lot of holes in the boat, but we managed it, to finding a volcano. Because one of the new updates that they added was, essentially they added earthquakes, fog, a volcano, even a narrative to the game, this actual narrative-driven kind of story thing that I haven't really touched too much of yet, because it seems like you need a decent crew. You need at least a couple of people for that. Otherwise, you're not going to have a very good time, at least. But anyways, we set to the seas as the Land Crab. We made it to the volcano island after finding it in a storm. I saw the giant plume of lava coming from the island in the distance during the storm, and I figured, let's go there. And we got to the island, and I noticed the volcano was no longer active. It kind of just stopped being a volcano, I guess. And I figured, all right, let's land. Let's do as us land crabs do, scour the beach and try and find a way in this volcano. I doubt land crabs do that, but anyways. We searched all around the island, and during the search, suddenly the volcano went off again, which basically causes the whole ground to shake, and it messes with your controls, so you can't really move around all that well. So like all your controls are inverted and shit while the volcano's going off. And as I'm struggling to like even move, I notice our ship is just being struck by giant pieces of lava and rock from the volcano. So I immediately panicked. We get back to the ship. We get on board. It's too late. We're trying as hard as we can to get the water off the boat and then patch it. And while it's sinking, we notice the water around the volcanic island begin to boil. So we, the land crabs, went in a way that was fitting. We boiled to death. And that's what I knew, after 12 hours of playing Sea of Thieves, gathering endless amounts of treasure, fighting off a megalodon, it was fitting that this is the way it ended. And that was the end of my adventure last night.
It's like Podtoid's become one of those old 50s radio serial shows.
Hell yeah.
It's like, will Dan get off the volcanic island?
See, I think if they had more stories like that when the game launched, it would probably be a bit more popular than it is right now.
No, yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, even with all of the updates, it very much sort of is just like, you go and find treasure. Like, without any context of the mission we're doing, all of it basically boils down to, you look at your map, you go to an island, you dig up a treasure box, and maybe you fight off some skeletons, and then you take that treasure to a merchant and sell it. That's essentially pretty much everything you do in this game, honestly.
Do you get like better swords or something? How do you progress?
You could buy different cosmetic items, but they're only that. They're cosmetic. So your sword will always do the same amount of damage it always does. Same with your guns. There's different types of weapons. There's like a sniper rifle, a blunderbuss, things like that. But they'll always do the same amount of damage, and you already have them all from the get-go. Everything you earn is cosmetic, and you can save up for it with the various like gold you get from finding treasure, which takes a while. So
yeah.
Oh, so it's cosmetic. So
yeah.
It's not a microtransaction then.
I'm not sure. Well, hey, look.
I'm glad someone.
Hey, a certain individual out there might disagree. He might get real mad. So watch what you say. He might go on Twitter. He might post some things for 5 hours till 5 a.m. in the morning. And I don't want to.
Porno gifs.
Hey, look. That USB was never found. Okay.
No, it was found.
Oh shit.
Yeah. That's the whole point. It was found. Remember, it was found at a was King Arthur
medieval times.
It was lost at medieval times.
It was found at medieval times.
Okay, so it was found and maybe lost.
I just look forward to the big bad in Borderlands 4 just being a games journalist. Like at that point, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Charlotte, let's go to you now. You've been playing some Phoenix, right?
Yep. I've been playing the latest game in the series, which is Spirits of Justice, which came out in the West in 2016, I think. I got Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice for pretty cheap over Christmas. And I finished Dual Destinies within a week and a half, like blitzed through it during my Christmas holiday, had a great time. And then I started Spirit of Justice at the end of Christmas, like over New Year. And for some reason, the first case was very, very slow going, and that meant that I put it down and I didn't go back to it until about a week ago. But once I got past that first case, it's just like Dual Destinies in the sense that it's really compelling, and you find yourself playing hours of it, and the time just flies by. I have to say, I think Dual Destinies is still my favorite, just because Dual Destinies... maybe mild spoilers here. Dual Destinies is more about ethical questions and do the ends justify the means, whereas Spirit of Justice is more about autocracies and also more religious autocracies. And I find that not as compelling a topic, and also having people on screen yelling at you that what you're doing is wrong when what you're doing is democratic gets kind of annoying after a while. But yeah, I think once I'm done with Spirit of Justice I'm on the final case now. I think I'm probably going to get the DLC for both games because I didn't bother over Christmas, but now I'm really just want to play more. So I'm really on a Phoenix Wright kick right now.
Now, one of the DLCs, you defend a whale, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Okay, then I'm definitely getting it.
Did you play the crossover with Professor Layton?
No, I think that's also on my next to play list. I borrowed it off my sister, and I don't know when I'm going to give it back to her, but it's mine now. So I'll be playing that next. But it's really weird because I had presumed that the Professor Layton one was the more recent one, but actually it's between Apollo Justice and Dual Destinies, right?
I think so. I know I think it is before Dual Destinies.
Yeah. So I'm wondering whether that's going to affect, like, I know very little about the game going in, so I'm just wondering whether that's going to affect my, how well I enjoy it, because I do get the feeling that the two more recent games, you see, I don't know if this is because I played the first 3 games and Apollo when I was 16, 17, and therefore considerably more stupid than I am now. But
Okay.
I feel like the more recent 2, I'm not like doing the typical point and click thing of clicking on everything to try and find what the solution is anywhere near as much as I did on the original ones. Everything seems to make a lot more sense than it did originally. So I'm wondering if, well, I actually know, I don't even know if Phoenix Wright and Professor Layton, whether it's more Professor Layton mechanics anyway, in which case the whole point and clicking thing might not come into it as much.
I guess you'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Occams, I see you've been playing the hit new Xbox title, A Parade of Mediocrity.
Oh, yeah. So I beat Mortal Kombat, the story missions, and that was fun. And that was kind of that's what I want to do with it. So I went back, and I don't really have anything I'm dying to play right now. So I'm just sort of going through the motions, so I finally, thanks to Wes, I booted up Anthem, and it made me really want to play Destiny. And did that
Mission
for like 2 hours. Yeah. And I did that for like 2 hours, and it was just like an anthem of creation. It's just, and you could just, I remember reading the, I guess it was Jason Schreier, the Kotaku article about it, and just how they just kind of like made it up at the last second because everything they were doing had been scrapped, and god damn, it feels like it. And it was boring, and which is a shame because I love the idea behind it. I just got really bored really quickly, so turned that off. And then I played Defiance, which is the MMO based on that sci-fi TV show that was canceled a couple years back.
Oh shit! Yeah,
I know, right? Yeah, I know. A Parade of Mediocrity, and played that for about an hour, and went, oh no, oh boy, it was like me and 3 guys named No Scope 420XX. We turned that off, and then I jumped onto the Neverwinter Nights MMO. This is all for PS4, by the way, which I'd actually played a lot of because the Neverwinter Nights world, the Forgotten Realms world, I've read a lot of the books and know a lot about, and I have a necromancer or warlock or whatever character, but I didn't really feel like playing because it's one of those games where it's like in-game stuff and they want you to grind, and I didn't really feel like doing that. So and actually, Dan, you'll appreciate this. I do have a crab mount because if I can have a crustacean as a rideable mount, that's what I'm always going to take in anything ever. So I just rode around on my crab for a while. And it does that thing where it moves like a crab does. So it's like side running, kind of like the Zoidberg. When Zoidberg leaves the room. Yeah, and I just did that for like 20 minutes. And then I put on YouTube and I'm watching a guy play Vampire the Masquerade because I guess I don't like video games anymore. So that's all I've been doing.
I guess I don't like video games either because I played a little bit of Starlink this week with the new update. I played some more Dragon's Dogma, but I need to get farther into it. I played a shit ton of Overwatch because I'm like reviewing this piece of hardware, and God, I'm hating that game more and more because I fucking hate my teammates. But I don't want to talk about any of that. I want to talk about the movie Serenity. And no, not the Jaws Whedon follow-up to, what was that, Firefly? Because that's a good movie. And this one is bad. This one's very bad. Wait, did I just hear an A?
I like to be this asshole, but I don't care about Firefly. And I was, can I spoil Serenity? Does anyone give a shit? I've been out forever.
It's that old. Go ahead.
I did a standing ovation when the pilot was killed. I was so happy. That was so awesome. Oh, all of those people annoyed the shit out of me.
I didn't like the show pretty much at all, but I enjoyed the movie. I thought the movie was better than anything they ever did in the show.
Fair enough.
Are you talking about the McConaughey flick?
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the Serenity with Matthew McConaughey. So let me just set the scene for you. Matthew McConaughey plays a character named Baker Dill, who is a fishing boat captain on an island called Plymouth Island. And what he does is basically he gives tours to tourists to go out fishing to catch fish, paid to do that, yada, yada, yada. But what he actually wants to do is catch this giant elusive tuna that he has named Justice. But he can never do it. Justice always gets away. And so he is like a bumbling alcoholic. He's always mad at everyone. And so at the very beginning of the movie, he tries to catch this fish. The fish gets away. He starts cussing out the customers that he had on board. And so they don't pay him. And so the only way that he can make his payment for the month is that he goes and he prostitutes himself out to a woman. I think her name is Constance, played by Diane Lane. And there is literally a line in the movie where he says, "I'm a hooker who can't afford hooks." So that is the level that we are working on here. Anyways, so his life is like downward spiral. He's drunk all the time. He's naked all the time. You see a ton of his ass in this. And eventually his ex-wife comes to the island and asks him to take her current husband, who is abusive, out on the boat and kill him. She'll pay him $10 million to do so. And Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, who plays his ex-wife, they have a kid together, and she says to him, when he asks about their son, she says, "He can hear you when you talk about him." So that's a really weird moment because the kid doesn't live anywhere near them. Anyways, fast forward to the big spoiler. The big twist on this movie is that Baker Dill is not real. None of this is real. Everything on this island, including the island, all of the people, everything they're doing is part of a computer game programmed by his son. The actual Baker Dill, whose real name is Michael, died while fighting in Iraq. So everything is just a computer simulation. And this is where, like, you kind of have to suspend belief to get into the film in the first place. This is when that becomes utterly impossible. Because when you start thinking about, if this is a game, his son programmed him to do all this stuff. His son programmed him to be a hooker. His son programmed him to be an alcoholic. His son programmed him naked so much in this movie. He programmed a part of this island where you can go have, it's alluded to that you can have sex with children. He programmed a weird sex scene between his dad and his mom.
There was no fish sex though, right? Because that's where I thought you were going with this.
No fish sex, but there is the absolute weirdest moment when you think about that this is all a computer program. Oh, he also programs dream sequences. Like, because they have dream sequences. But there's a moment where Matthew McConaughey gets naked, obviously, because that's what he does in this movie, and jumps off a cliff into the water. And so he's swimming underwater, and then he sees his son coming towards him, and it's alluded that he's also naked. So here is a dad and son swimming underwater in the ocean naked, and then it's all a dream sequence. I have so many questions about how this movie was greenlit.
Basic storytelling when you're like 9 or 10 at school is "it is all a dream" is a terrible ending to anything. And that's basically what this is, even though it's like it's all a computer program. It's the same thing, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a commentary on like Steam Greenlight and the kind of game itself on there.
Well, the best part is that there's another character in this movie. I can't remember his name, but he's basically the rules. Like he's a manifestation of the rules of this game. And you find out from him that the game the son has created is just like this Go Island collection of mini games. So catching the fish is one of the mini games. There's another mini game that's called Catch the Cat, which has to do with him having sex with Diane Lane. And so it's just this, it's this mind-bogglingly dark storyline set in a game that would probably be rated E for everyone. It'd be like if Sesame Street did a true-to-life recreation of Pulp Fiction. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't carry over whatsoever, and I'm just baffled by it. And my favorite thing is Anne Hathaway, because Anne Hathaway is so awful in this movie, but she's also great because she is the only person in it who acts like they are a character in a computer game. Like everyone else in this kind of just acts like they're acting like they're playing real characters. But she, with her weird stunted walking and her robotic delivery of some of her lines, like, I know she is a good actress. I like her and other stuff, but it's clear that she's the only one who read the script and is like, okay, I'm going to be a video game character and I'm going to play this like a video game character. And at certain points, she is basically walking like a Barbie doll where she doesn't even bend her arms. It is just insane. I love her and hate her for it at the same time because she's awful, but she's awful in a great way. Like there's a scene where him and her have anal sex. Again, something the son programmed into this movie. And she is just making just the weirdest faces on as she's, getting fucked. And I started laughing. Like, this is supposed to be a serious moment in this movie, and I just can't help but laugh because it is so fucking dumb.
And we
These are,
spent like
high value actors. How did they sign on to this? This is like...
Well, Anne Hathaway's career hasn't been like hot in a long time. I'm not surprised she's in it. She's like the A team for direct to DVD stuff or video on demand now, I guess. I think McConaughey just has enough money to where he doesn't care and just does what he wants.
Matthew McConaughey has done some shitty movies since he won the Oscar, though.
Yeah, well, he's got that what is it, the Lexus or where he plays like pool and is like, all right, cars, whatever those commercials. How do you know they were having anal sex?
Because it's just implied that way.
Okay, I was curious if it was some kind of plot point or it's just what I do, which is always assume people are having anal sex. But...
but the whole point of this movie is that the kid is kind of getting the courage to kill his stepdad because in real life the stepdad is abusive, and so when he gets Matthew McConaughey's character in the game to kill the avatar of his dad, he goes and stabs his dad in the chest. So it is just a mind fuck of a movie in that there is no way this should have ever been made. And,
oh man!
And if it were to be made, it should not have been made with these caliber of actors.
I was hoping the kid would do a GDC presentation, but well, what do you know?
that probably is going to be in the sequel.
I think the first thing you should do when you write a script, you should look at the ending and say, is this the same ending as St. Elsewhere or close to it? And if you say yes, you rewrite your movie.
Oh, yeah. So
shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Sack of shit.
You are listening to Podtoid.
That is it for games. We have headlines to cover. It is time for the news. And we're going to start with what is obviously the biggest story of the week, and that is the debut of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer. Here is a clip.
Are you in charge here?
Yes, I am.
Nope!
I'm wrong. I'm in charge.
Allow me to clarify. In a sequentially ranked hierarchy based on level of critical importance, the disparity between us is too vast to quantify. Agent Stone?
The doctor thinks you're basic.
So, as anticipated, or as has been anticipated since this project was announced, and we've slowly been leaked information about it, this trailer did not go over well. The movie seems to be going with like a Sonic either as an alien or from another dimension. Dr. Robotnik works for the U.S. government trying to stop him. Rings can be used as what are clearly unsafe portals. I mean, how fast they're falling from that building is not going to end well. And James Marsden is clearly just continuing to thrive after his post-X-Men career. The biggest point of contention on this movie was obviously the look of Sonic the Hedgehog, who, he looks like a guy in a Sonic costume. Let's not beat around the bush. He does not look anything like the character. He looks like a dude playing the character. Those leaked toy box art turned out to be true, and most everyone was vocal in their hatred about it. I thought it was going to end after this, but then the film's director, Jeff Fowler, went onto Twitter and announced that basically they're going to rebuild Sonic. There are a lot of renders being passed around online on what Sonic should probably look like, and I'm kind of hoping they do go in that direction, but as soon as that was announced, there was another backlash about the treatment of special effects programmers and whose job it'll be to redesign Sonic in not a lot of time. There was no change with the release date going along with the announcement that they're going to fix Sonic, and the hashtag Fowler used in his tweet gotta fix fast, is leading some to believe that the film will keep its original November premiere date while still trying to get all of these changes in. Since that announcement, it kind of feels like there's been a lot of finger pointing going around. Some articles say that fans bullied the director into changing the character. Some are suggesting the FX team brought up issues with Sonic's design and that were ignored. And the director of Detective Pikachu is saying that fixing Sonic would be an impossibility based on his experience with CGI characters. I don't know anything about that. But what I can say is a lot of money is being spent and wasted. A lot of drama is being made. And a lot of people are being put into stressful situations because of like one shitty decision that was made a few years ago. Like that's what this kind of boils down to. Even if the script stays the same, and there's no way it's going to be good script based on who's writing it, the design of Sonic is so key to getting people excited about this film that was the first thing that screwed up. And everything else has just been it's been a snowball of problems since that.
I guarantee you, there was an executive at Paramount, some old ass boomer who has no clue what Sonic looks like, got shown a render of Sonic looking like Sonic, got weirded out by his weird like separated eye thing, and demanded changes. And that's how it all came to be.
I'm not thinking it's an old person at all, because the guy who was the producer,
really,
yeah, he originally had this movie over at Fox, I think. And then he brought it over to Paramount when he signed a new development deal. His name is, where's his name? Neil Moritz. And he's the producer of I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Am Legend, Fast and the Furious. Okay. I mean, I guess he is old. He's about 60. So he's not, I don't know. I'm just picturing when you say old, like just some guy, I don't know, like the guy who owns the bank in Mary Poppins.
I
just
don't know,
like really,
60's
really
like
old.
that boomer age. But anyways, I'm just so curious how it got to this point where like they felt like this character needed like weird human looking lips and teeth.
Oh,
it's just weird.
I feel like what happened is that they saw that Detective Pikachu was going realistic, and they thought, well, we need to do the same thing, or at least that's how this world needs to be. We can't have this like garishly cartoonish character in a real world.
There's not enough time for that. Like the times between when both of those trailers came out, part of me like knows that they're definitely like edging on that. Like they saw how popular the Detective Pikachu stuff was, and they wanted to start heavily marketing this stuff. But
that's exactly.
I don't know if that fell into the design decisions.
Well, the difference is, Pikachu still looks like Pikachu.
Yeah.
He's a 3D model and he's furry, but he has the same like proportions, and he's yellow and he's got the rosy cheeks, and there's a little bit of some irises going on, but generally he's just got big black eyes. The Sonic in the Sonic movie doesn't look like Sonic the Hedgehog. It looks like here's an interpretation of the character.
Yeah, that's Paramount have a thing about that. Like if you look at the Ninja Turtles movie they did, those Ninja Turtles look weird.
Movie Sonic is to video game Sonic what Matthew Broderick Godzilla is to the Japanese Godzilla films. Like just changed around so much that no one's really liking it.
I mean, I think it's easy to sit here. We can speculate, but I mean, the fact is, none of us, and that includes probably most of the internet as a whole, kind of knows how the sausage was made with this.
Yeah.
And what goes into actually fixing it. I would imagine it's a monumental task, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I saw some guy on Twitter was saying how like with the changing the Sonic character design, like we respect the vision of keep the creator's vision related to Sekiro. Up until the people just don't like it, and I'm badly paraphrasing, but I was thinking about like this just looks awful. Like the creative vision, okay, but there's also room to say no, this looks fucking terrible, and we need to fix this because no one likes it. Like, and you can even do something as simple as giving a cartoon character human teeth. Giving anything that's not human teeth makes it horrifying. Just across the board, anything. And just these little design choices, they need to fix this. It looks bad. And, when everyone's saying Jim Carrey's doing a great job being Jim Carrey and he's weird as shit, but that's it, when that's like the highlight of your Sonic movie, it's bad mojo.
I mean, the problem is that they can spend this money redoing Sonic. They can not spend the money redoing Sonic, their decision. like, is there any chance this movie doesn't bomb?
I've been thinking about that, and it goes one of two ways. It's more than likely it'll bomb. I think it's just got that scarlet letter on it now, and it's gonna bomb. But I think there might be a morbid curiosity that at least lets it break even. But I wouldn't go much further than that. I think even if they
much fall into that morbid curiosity category.
Yeah, but even if they make it the Sonic we all want to see, those original trailers, those original stills, what people have done with that art now, it still exists, and I don't think that's going to leave anyone the zeitgeist, as it were, even when the movie comes out.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I looked up its release schedule yesterday, and if I'm remembering correctly, it basically just has its one weekend to itself as like the big family movie before it's just inundated by Disney. Because I think the Frozen 2 release is right after it. So,
a delay to January would probably be fitting.
Or even longer than that, because no one wants to see movies in January.
Well, that was the bit. But the big tinfoil hat theory is that like all of this was intentional. I've seen that fly around quite a bit from a lot of people being like, this could have been an intentional idea, and that they already have a plan to make Sonic look normal, but like, hey, how can we take a Sonic the Hedgehog movie and get some real attention?
That's not how that works.
I don't buy into it, but there's a lot of people throwing that around.
That's just people thinking they're much more clever than they actually are. No, that's not it.
These are the people who give elaborate fan theories that are just so outside the box that they're never going to be true, but they swear, no, this is what it really is.
Yeah, these are the same folks who think they could do a better job directing Star Wars, and they couldn't at all. So
I agree. And if you like I said, if you looked at the context of how Paramount has handled adapting cartoon characters to like realistic looking proportions, this is their thing. The Ninja Turtles are a fine example of it. So.
In other games movie news, there is a Saints Row movie in development from Koch Media. According to Deadline, the movie is going to be directed by F. Gary Gray, who directed Straight Outta Compton and this summer's MIB International. And it will be written by Greg Russo, who, according to his IMDb page, is also doing the Mortal Kombat film reboot and the Resident Evil film reboot. According to his Twitter, he's also doing a movie based on the Fear franchise, and he's doing Death Note 2 for Netflix. Now, what films has Mr. Greg Russo written? Fuck if I know. I literally couldn't find anything that's actually been released. All I see is these video game franchises being trusted into a single person without a proven track record. Although given who is writing the Sonic movie, that's probably for the best. I did find this article about him that said, quote, given his expertise in adapting games for the big screen, and I'm just wondering what expertise they are talking about, because again, none of his movies have been released. Either way, I need to find out who his agent is, because clearly he has a very good agent to get all these properties. I just hope he doesn't turn into the next Uwe Boll. But how do you make a Saints Row movie? I've never played the game, so I just think of it as crazy Grand Theft Auto.
You take, goddamn, that's a good question. I'm trying to think of the other half of the metaphor, but essentially, I mean, it's just you do like Grand Theft Auto as a movie, but make it a giant cartoon. Like Grand Theft Auto meets Fast and the Furious, but make it like cartoonishly violent and silly.
I'd see that.
Yeah, I mean, I've played most of the games, and they're very fun and stupid. But it's you make it like take Fast and the Furious and make it even more unrealistic and a little bit less cool, just a little bit.
I mean, I was just worried that like they're going to adapt the first Saints Row game, which is just basically here's a shitty Grand Theft Auto clone with a really melodramatic story. Like the first Saints Row game was far off from what Saints Row became.
So if they're going to make a film out of Saints Row, it needs to be Saints Row the Third or it needs to Get Out of Hell or something.
Yeah. Sure. And like have the entire soundtrack just be that Kanye West Power song remixed a dozen times.
Oh fuck me!
Just every scene. Almost. Every time they walk into a room, after they go to order a hot dog from a stand, they leave the bathroom, they enter the bathroom, it just plays.
And there's always the dildo sword somewhere in shot, even if it's hidden into the background.
And I guarantee you, the most inexpensive Michelle Rodriguez knockoff actress will wield it at some point.
Or just Michelle Rodriguez. I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
She did appear at the H1Z1 launch of their league, so clearly she does not have that high of an asking price. Finally, in actual game news, PlatinumGames has announced it is shifting away from working with external publishers towards self-publishing on its future franchises. Chris, you actually reported this 2 years ago that Platinum had in 2 projects in development that it was planning to self-publish. Doesn't seem like much has changed since then. Platinum has Astral Chain and Babylon's Fall scheduled for release this year with Nintendo and Square Enix respectively. They also have Bayonetta 3 in development for Switch and 2 mobile games being created with Cygames and DNA. According to this most recent report, one of the new Platinum titles is something that is, quote, truly unlike anything else. There is something that has never been designed before. This is just great news to me because I love Platinum Games, and I hate the idea that they can't make sequels to games that they want to make sequels to. Like, the Wonderful 101. Is there any other studio you guys would like to see go independent and self-publish their stuff just because you know that publishers are holding them back?
I don't really know enough about that relationship of I know they're like Vanillaware. I love Vanillaware. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of assume when a Vanillaware game comes out, they put it out. I know that's probably incorrect. I don't keep up with enough of that. I just know certain companies I like. So stuff like that would be great to see self-published if they don't already. But I love everything Platinum does. And they make just beautiful experiences and amazing games. And whatever they need to do to make the best games they can, I fully fucking support.
Yeah. I mean, it was really upsetting when we didn't get Scalebound. Damn you, Microsoft.
Yeah, that sucked a lot.
You are listening to Podtoid.
All right, that is it for news, but we still have more show. It is time for the Podtoid question of the week.
Is that your camouflage reflex, or are you just happy to see me?
Sorry, that is not the Podtoid question of the week. And actually, this week our question comes from you, the listeners, with our first installment of The Goddamn Mail.
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Goddamn mail.
Okay, Chris, we're going to start with you. We have a question from Oso Pequeño. They are wondering, what character are you maining in Mortal Kombat 11?
I am playing as Cassie Cage right now. I'm bouncing between Cassie and Jade because I'm not good enough to play as Devora, who is who I actually want to play as. And all of this is a monument to fertility because I'm just waiting for Sindel to turn up, who's actually my favorite Mortal Kombat character, and I'm pretty confident that she's going to show up at some point down the line. But at the moment, I'm playing as Cassie Cage, who's a pretty good character. There's a really horrible... You were talking about boomers earlier with Sonic. Yeah. There's a really horrible... this is what young girls are like and how they talk going on with her. Yeah, that whole character is, here's what trendy people said 3 years ago that middle-aged white guys still think they say. And so I do like playing as a character, but all of her West Side and fucking hashtag you're dead and all that stuff is just it's like when EastEnders tries to have teenage characters, and it's I remember when people used to say this 4 years ago, and that's
bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that's a bit of a chore, but Cassie Cage is a really cool character, and she does that little heart shape with her hands. Remember when everyone used to do that? Yeah.
I think, though, given Mortal Kombat, and this is, I'm guessing, but given Mortal Kombat and just the kind of silliness of that story, I think it's intentional that she's supposed to be kind of distilled down to what everyone thinks, what is she, 19, probably, is supposed to be, only because all those characters are kind of stereotypical their own way.
I know people use that as a defense a lot for Mortal Kombat, that it's all kind of a piss take. I'm not 100% sure it is. I think sometimes things get looked at as embarrassing and they go, that was intentional because we're taking the piss out of this. I think sometimes they actually think this stuff's cool. When the first person to get a hit, in a match, gets a bonus called first hit props. And I don't think they write that thinking, oh, this is ironic because it's not cool at all. I think they think it's cool. Cabal does a move and he's caballing. And I don't think that's just a joke.
See, I have to. I mean, I think that's just dad joke territory. I mean, it's what is it? Poochie? Was that the goddamn Simpsons thing? The dog with the backwards hat? Yeah, It feels like a Poochie kind of thing.
Maybe and I guess like only Ed Boon and NetherRealm know for sure, but this is like their second stab at Cassie Cage, and she's still kind of like, this is what we think teenage girls are like, if you know what I mean. But she's a great character anyway. I'm enjoying playing as her until someone comes along who I actually want to play with. And thanks for the question. Appreciate you listening.
So the next question is kind of bouncing off that. It's from Celica Crazed. And this is for all of us. If we were in the Mortal Kombat universe, what would our fatality be?
Well, there was this gun story that we talked about earlier.
You fucking stole my punchline, you motherfucker.
I would like to say, hey, I'm the Canadian here, so I have the authority on this matter. Definitely would have to be something along the lines of dropping acid and then just, a gunshot in the asshole somewhere.
Well, so long as we are making Podtoid references, I would transform into an elephant and stomp them to death. Hashtag throwback.
All right.
So people do actually say hashtag, I guess. I guess it is a piss take after all.
It's more of an ironic thing to say it, though.
No,
that's piss take, but I guarantee you nobody in my age group is saying West Side. I guarantee that.
I would. Does Canada have a West Side? Is that a thing?
Like globally, even the U.S., I don't think anyone in their 20s is going West Side, even in California.
No,
I think
honestly,
Wu-Tang Clan guys are in their probably late 40s, 50s by now. So maybe, yeah. All right. For me, fatalities. I've thought a lot about this, and I'm trying to think of what I can say that won't get me in trouble.
How you can fit John Benet Ramsey into your answer? Well,
no. CJ, she was not going to be brought into this conversation, but thank you for remembering her. America's Angel, hashtag blessed. All right, so the fatality was for fighting like Cassie Cage, I would kick her in her vagina so hard that my foot went into her vagina, and then wear her like a shoe, and just walk around with her as a shoe.
Do you know the Cassie Cage has a fatality in this game where she kicks you in that area so hard that your skull pops out of the top of your head?
I saw that. That was good. They really need to get like genital mutilations in those games. They just need to go all in, because that's an area they haven't really covered yet. And I have a lot of notes for them. So that I'd either wear like pussy slippers, I'll call it that. Or if it was a dude, go Primal Fear style, Ed Norton's first movie, great role, and rip their dicks off, shove it in their mouth, and just let them choke to death on their own cocks. Seems fair.
The Occams version of Mortal Kombat would definitely be adults only.
Oh yeah, super.
Abs.
I mean, there's I have like biology and I have notes, my friends. I got pages of stuff.
By the way, I just want to thank you for choosing Cassie Cage over Sonya Cage, for example, because otherwise we'd have a lot of angry transphobic bitches from England coming after us.
Cut the shit. You'll kill us whether we fight or not.
Oh, I should have saved that soundbite.
Just Johnny, what are you doing? Yeah.
I think my fatality would be called the Bruce Bogtrotter, and it would just be feeding somebody an enormous cake until like their intestines start falling out of their rectum.
Nice. So you've seen Seven then?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you should watch Seven.
I must have got the reference somewhere. I think I know the glutton reference. Maybe there's some sort of subconscious thing going on.
No, that's fair. That's a great movie, by the way.
Chris?
I don't know. Dan stole mine.
Whatever.
Oh, I don't know. Buckaroo, Altered Beast. I don't know. Simpsons.
Hey, an Altered Beast fatality where you just turn into a wolf and punch somebody and they just explode. Very simplistic, but very satisfying.
That sounds like a Kano label fatality there.
Yeah. I did like I saw a video where Kano, one of his moves, he broke a bottle, and this was with Sonya Blade, stabbed her in the neck, and then danced with her as the blood came out of the bottle like a spigot, which that was well done.
All right, our next question comes from Rick Kicker, who wants to know what we all think of Camp Buddy. Do any of you know what Camp Buddy is?
Nope.
Is it a gay thing?
Let me play a clip.
Don't stare at me like that, Keitaro. It's really embarrassing. I can't help it, Hunter. You're so sexy in this bunny costume. Please, don't just stand there. You can do anything you want to me tonight.
Yeah, so that's Camp Buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a I guess it's called Yowie. It's gay. It's very gay. Yowie. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why I had to look that up, but as soon as I heard that clip, I thought, no, that's what Podtoid needs. Some really bad porn dialogue.
Yep. But what actually is it?
It is a visual novel, a sexual visual novel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know whether it was whether it was an actual game or a movie or Like.
Well, it's a game that now has, quote, animated cutscenes, but they're animated in the same way that characters in like a Compile Heart game are animated. So they're just kind of like bobbing up and down, and then they kind of have a little bit of animation, but it's like dicks going into anuses instead of just them bobbing up and down. Well, I guess they're kind of bobbing up and down just on a dick. To answer Rick Hicker's question, no, I am not into twinks, so not a fan.
Podtoid Google search the week. Yowie. Have fun.
Our next question is from Gus TT. What is your favorite pun? And Occams, I'm just going to give this one to you.
Oh, God.
Because I'm going to go with like Fangtasia from True Blood, because like I can't remember a pun that I like.
Yeah,
I just know I make puns.
That's my problem. I can't remember a pun to save my life. I will tell you this much though, that pretty much every time Gus posts a pun, it has brought me joy. In a lot of times, if I'm having a bad day or just I'm tired or whatever, I read that and I know that Gus exists out there. And I do read it as if Dule Hill is posting on Destructoid and just loves puns. But everything he does brings me joy. So just any pun Gus posts makes me happy. That's my favorite.
Okay. This next question is from Chris Carter, and it is for you, Charlotte. What was your favorite monkey and ape escape besides the family you destroyed?
I think my favorite ape was Sumner, because it was a reference to a member of Joy Division and New Order, and it was such a bizarre reference that I actually went and looked it up, and it was a reference to that, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, how did they pick these monkey names? Like,
wait,
they were
Bernard?
just dropping references everywhere. It was really weird.
The lead singer of New Order, Bernard?
Bernard
Sumner? Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was really awesome, but also really like, I was like, no, because like Sumner, because I was playing it in German, some is like can be humming, so I thought it might be a pun on that, and then I looked it up and they were like, no, they were referencing New Order and Joy Division. It's like, I think in the late 90s, like game developers would just do random shit like that because they were bored.
Yeah, I mean, like Rain from Mortal Kombat is a reference to Prince, so like because he's purple. Occams, this next question is for you from Goofy or Brute. If you were to get a banana pregnant, would you stay and raise the unholy abomination, or would you banana split?
All right. I think as a penance, I'd probably abort the first baby because that banana split thing made me feel a little dark. But then I'd raise the second because there's a fairly good chance it could end up being kind of a murder thing. I'm fine with that. Yeah. So first one, drop that calf. Second one, raise it.
Our next question is from the Limo Maker. And are any of you familiar with The Long Night?
No.
Great. So you're going to love this question. They want to know what we think is better, the Battle for Helm's Deep or The Long Night. Now, because you're not familiar with the latter, let me just sum what these are. The Battle for Helm's Deep is the ultimate battle in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. It's a massive night battle between Sauron's Uruk-hai army and a bunch of humans and elves, and it's easily one of the most spectacular battles ever to be put on film. Now, The Long Night is a movie from 1947 starring Henry Fonda and Barbara Bel Geddes, where Fonda plays a man trapped in an apartment surrounded by police with no means of escape. As he awaits a certain doom, he kind of flashes back to how he got there. The film also stars Vincent Price as a magician and Anne Vorach as his former assistant. And I know the film wasn't really well received when it was released, but at the time, but I think the ages have been fine to this, or have been kind to this neo-crime film. So, judging them side by side, I really have to say that The Long Night is better than The Battle for Helm's Deep. Thank you for asking that, Limo Maker, though I'm not sure what one has to do with the other. Anyway, our final question comes from Five Finger Delta. They ask, what two totally normal things become really weird when you do them back to back? Yeah, I'm stumped on this one too.
All right, it's kind of a gross answer, but I'm gonna run with it.
Is there no non-gross answer to this? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, you could, I don't know, take off your pants, then go to church, but that's boring. I want to say, for me, jerk off and then take a shit. But like not clean up, jerk off and take a shit.
Like, this reminds me of, have any of you ever seen that Flash animation that's called the Wanky Shit Demon?
What?
Charlotte, that is the best icebreaker I have ever heard.
Go on.
Like, it's, yeah, I think I'm better leaving it there and just leaving you to go off and research that in your own time. It's something quite special, your first time watching the Wanky Shit Demon.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to link to that in the story for this.
Wanty?
There is a song. There is a song. You can put that in the thing.
Sweet.
Was it Wanty or Wanter?
Wanky Shit Demon.
Toledo, our new doodle search of the week: Yowie and Wanky Shit Demon. Have fun.
All right, so that is it for the viewer questions, and thank you for posing those to us. And we're going to have that at the beginning, first show of every month going forward. So look forward to that the first week of June. But before we go, we have a community shout out. Occams.
Oh yes, thank you. Sorry. So I was thinking, y'all in the quick post have been doing the selfie toy again, and I think I posted a message saying that out of all the toys, selfie is my favorite. I love seeing y'all and everyone's faces and kind of where they are in life, what they're up to, and it just makes me really smile. Triceratops, I just say try in my head, but he posted a picture of him and his little boy, and little boy's wearing glasses, and it's his glasses clearly, and it's just really cute. Little moments like that. It brings y'all to life in my head a lot. So shout out to everyone who did Selfie Toyed. It's awesome.
That is it for our show. On behalf of Chris, Charlotte, Dan, Occams, and myself, thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify.